Bah! Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hotspur Huddle. We are back, ladies and gents. We have another action-packed show with lots to go over. So I'm excited to be here once again with my two besties on this show on a Wednesday. First of all, Wes, great to have you back on. How are you?
Well, I'm enjoying the sun. That's about the only thing I can enjoy at the moment, being a Spurs fan. So yeah, that's been pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, I'm not too bad. Yeah, keeping myself as busy as I can, and yeah, Spurs trying to turn me grey, I suppose, like most people. So no, looking forward to the show tonight as always.
Yeah, it will be a big one. Like I said, the sun is the only thing that's making me happy as well at the moment. But also, Nelson, great to have you on again. How are you?
I'm feeling good, Holly. Back again. Third consecutive appearance with the mic. I feel good. I can't lie. I'm feeling good, but yeah, happy to talk things all football. I think we've got a great show in store for the people today.
We do indeed, a lot to cover. But first of all, obviously, this show is sponsored by the amazing Kofa. And this week, Wes, I've actually been prepared. Oh, there we go, lovely stuff. So make sure you go check out Kofa. And that kind of leaves us on, Wes, because we do have to talk about Spurs. It'd be nice to do it out of the way, nice and early. So what did you make of that game against Liverpool, shall we say?
Oh, do you know what? Right, I saw the team, and I said this on Park Lane Pod on Sunday. I saw the team, and I was a little bit confused because in my mind, play that team on Thursday. Play that team tomorrow against Bodo Glimt. We should have enough in that team to get the job done. So I was a little bit confused by that. And then obviously the way we played, to be fair, first sort of 20 minutes wasn't too bad. I thought we did okay. Obviously, Solanke scored, sending every Spurs fan into that false sense of security. And yeah, after Liverpool got one, it was normal service resumed when it comes to Tottenham and being at Anfield, I guess. And another big game that Spurs failed to turn up in. So yeah, it was just one of those where I got to the point during the game where I kind of just checked out because I've seen that performance so many times in the last 18 months or so, and it's becoming boring to watch and to see, and yet we're making the same type of mistakes and we're not rectifying it. So now that becomes a training ground and a training pitch issue because the goals and the type of goals that were being conceded were just so avoidable. And you're like, what on earth is going on? Like, what is actually happening here? So yeah, it was just one of those where I was like, I was expecting us to lose because, we're never lucky at Anfield anyway. But yeah, it was kind of like the manner in which we lost. Again, I'm a bit like, oh, really?
No, I'm with you. And that's the thing, because obviously, Nelson, I don't think any Spurs fan was kind of under the illusion that we were going to potentially get anything from Anfield, because Liverpool have just been ridiculous this season, haven't they?
Yeah, Liverpool have been absolutely insane, and I think a lot of people will try and find fault in Liverpool's title-winning season. I think that's just the jealousy that comes from them actually winning the league this year. A lot of people probably come and say that, oh, well, City weren't up to scratch this year. Arsenal had injuries, and that's probably why Liverpool won. No, that's not the case. At the end of the day, you got to beat what's in front of you, and Liverpool have done that throughout the entire season. And I think that interview, the post-match interview that they had on the pitch, the post-match celebrations, there was a lot that was said, and I think Mo Salah in particular had mentioned something that Arne Slot did and came in and provided him, which was a lot of freedom. And we always talk about superstars that provide a lot of defensive security for, especially as wingers now in this day and age. They provide Wingers are the first line of defense, but I think this season Arne Slot has come in, and even the fact that Jurgen Klopp, the great Jurgen Klopp, recommended him, and he's come in and he's done it in one season. I think you got to give credit to him. Can't remember. I don't know if Wes knows the last coach that's come in, kind of taking the team in their first kind of season and just kind of gone and blown everyone out the water. I think the most recent one might have been Conte. I might be wrong, but
Yeah.
I think you have to give Slot credit. I think from a coaching perspective, the way he's handled the team and managed all these big names has been fantastic. So I think Liverpool have been insane this season, and all credit goes to them. Credit goes to them.
Definitely, and I think that's the thing, because I don't want to spend too much time on Tottenham, Wes, because there was another club in North London last night. They gave us a little bit of joy from watching them. So we'll come to Nelson in a minute. But Wes, what did you make of that UCL game last night?
The hate watch was beautiful. It was beautiful. Yesterday, I felt Parisian. Yesterday. Oh, yeah. And Nelson was messaging me during the game, which is a rarity, by the way. He was mentioning, obviously, Desiree Doué. And it's just one of those where you go, like, what could have been? You look at Ousmane Dembele. Ousmane Dembele is in the Coupe de la Maison song as it goes. Another winger that was offered to Tottenham. I mean, as I think I said about Paris last week, the midfield, just three absolute technicians: Vitinha, João Neves, and Fabian Ruiz, mate, just on job. Like every little detail, every pass was the right pass. The way they dictate games is absolutely phenomenal, PSG. And I think a lot of people have underestimated them, kind of written them off and thought, right, this is Arsenal's time. And I think last night showed that there is a different side to this PSG team. They can dig in. They have got that little bit of steel, and they look together as a team. Obviously, we know in that sort of last sort of 10, 15 years or so, they've had the superstars, the best in class, the best in the world. They haven't really got anybody that you would arguably maybe Donnarumma aside, but they haven't really got anybody there that you would 100% go best in the world, like without any debate. And so they're a bit more of a collective team and a collective unit now. And yeah, I think Arsenal have got a really difficult job. I think going to Paris, their home form has been really, really good, not only in the league but in the Champions League as well. But like I say, the hate watch yesterday, it was beautiful. And the bed sheet with the cannon on it was quite Pro Evolution Soccer or FIFA Ultimate Team as well. So yeah, it was nice for the Arsenal fans to do a sponsored silence as well for 90 minutes. I hope they raised a lot of money for charity last night.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think where life has been so bad for us, Wes, it was quite nice last night, Nelson, to kind of watch a game and enjoy a game as a football fan, so to speak. What did you kind of make of it? Because they were very dominant at times in terms of the silky passes, the way they managed to get out of your press. What were your kind of thoughts, especially from last night, and then going through to the next round when you play them again?
How long have I got? Because I don't want to take too much time, but essentially to kind of summarize, Holly, PSG were flawless from start to finish, and I want to all the Arsenal fans that think that that we did bad and PSG were just better on the night. No, PSG were absolutely flawless, and I think when you look at the game and they carry the momentum right now, and I think all the pressure is on them, not necessarily to beat us, but to kind of kill the tie off, because they had chances to kill the tie off in the last 10 minutes. Barcola and Ramos, they had golden chances to kind of put this game to bed, and I think, if in my honest opinion, Arsenal are lucky to come away with a 1-0 loss. It could have been much worse. First 15-20 minutes, I think Paris blew us out the water. We gave them too much respect, and the way that they control, like those, I said, the technicians in midfield absolutely dominated midfield, and we just couldn't get a sniff. And then I remember around the 30th minute, I think Miles Lewis-Skelly put a tackle in for Hakimi, and the crowd seemed to get behind it, and then we started to build momentum, and then Martinelli has a chance before the end of the first half, and ends up missing, which I think he should have scored, but obviously Donnarumma is huge. So I don't know. I've never seen a keeper like that, like with a huge 6'5", 6'6" frame. Normally keepers are roughly just under 6'2", but you can feel his aura whenever you get closer to the goal. And I remember Petr Cech when he was at Chelsea in his prime. He's another keeper that reminds me of that aura where you felt like you're sniffing goal. And Dida was an underrated keeper as well in his heyday. But yeah, Holly, I could go on for long, but I think overall, I think Arsenal fans are probably reeling the miss of Thomas Partey. That yellow card looks so silly now that he got in Madrid, because in my opinion, I messaged Wes, I said that he is the most important player in the system, like for what Arteta wants since he's, signed for the club. I think he has been one of the best players, but probably the most important in how we transition from defense to attack. He is that linchpin. And Martin Odegaard, in my opinion, I don't think he's captain material. I think he was very shocking last night. I think the captaincy should be reviewed, in my opinion, at the end of the season. Declan Rice is probably my captain for Arsenal, or Gabriel Saliba. But yeah, I think for many other Arsenal fans, it was a generational hate watch. The fact that I saw expressions with the PSG fans spoke volumes of how much it was of a hate watch around the world. So credit to PSG, they were phenomenal, and Arsenal have a lot to do in the second leg. But I think with Partey coming back, I think the players will feel confident, and I think there's less pressure of the fact that we are going to part the Prance, and we'll see what happens. But I'm feeling good. I'm actually feeling good about the second leg. Feeling good.
I
know. Sorry, Holly. I know Expressions wasn't the only person in the away end last night with Tottenham connections, because Rosella Ayan was also in the away end as well last night. As well, obviously she plays for the women's team at Spurs as well. So yeah, like the hate watch, it was beautiful.
It was good, and it was nice. It actually turned into something. Normally, I'm sat there thinking, "Oh, they're going to score in a minute. Oh, they're going to come away and win this game." But to actually lose the game, it was quite nice. But Nelson, I'm going to come back to you because obviously it's a nice segue into the fact that obviously Arsenal women were in the same kind of position, if not worse, and then they managed to go away and obviously ultimately win the game effectively. So in that kind of stead, in the kind of Arsenal family, is that why you're not feeling as concerned, like you said, with parties coming back, in terms of that the Arsenal women can do it? Hopefully that can fall into the men's kind of feet as well.
Yeah, I think I need Renee Slagers to actually coach next week's game, because Mikel Arteta posting a hype video to get the fans to get behind a team. Every normal fan would get behind the team. Why do you need the manager to come out and hype us up? I thought that was stupid, in my opinion. Like, I was very disappointed. Like, I think that shows the mentality of, I don't know, the way we approached that game. But like you said, Holly, the women's had a much more of an uphill climb, and they absolutely smashed it on that Sunday. I watched the whole game live. I was so proud of them. The renaissance continues, and we are in the Champions League final. I think the way in which we set up and just blocked Leon from like playing their normal style of play, like they are very aggressive in terms of their press. We kind of countered that. I'm not sure how we did it, but we did it to a great effect, and we were clinical. At the end of the day, the chances came, we took them, and I think the girls, it's probably one of the best wins I've seen in the Arsenal Football Club, men and women, in years. Like, we're talking a great Lyon team, and I was very nervous coming into the semi-final because Lyon are European stalwarts, but we've done it, and we're in the final now. And the only reason why I'm excited for the finals, because it's the final, like it's a great opportunity for the girls. But I mean, if you look at who we're coming up against, I'm there like, should we have just let Leon like pass through? Because this Barcelona team, Wes would attest to this. This is one of the greatest teams in football, men or women, in this current day. Like, they are scintillating, and they host, obviously they have the best player in the world in Bonmati, and they have so many other beautiful players. And I think it's going to be a huge task for us to try and get a result against them, because in my opinion, I'm expecting them to win, but I'm going to be there for the game. I'm going to watch the game, maybe head to the pub with a couple of fans, and be there in full support. So we'll wait and see. But the Arsenal women's absolutely fantastic, and the men can learn a lesson or two from them.
There we go. That's the thing, because Wes, it is going to be a difficult final for them, like Nelson's kind of alluded to. And I would hate for them to obviously win it, and then the men to go all the way as well. It would just be unbearable.
Yeah, I think it's more like the fans makes things unbearable as opposed to like the players themselves. But yeah, I think as Nelson's alluded to, like this Barcelona women's team are just frightening. They've got like everything, and I mean to kind of put it into context, they've allowed arguably one of the best number sixes in the women's game to leave. Like that says everything about the squad depth that Barcelona have, where they let Kira Walsh go to Chelsea in January. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really uphill, like a massive uphill task for Arsenal women. You know, rivalry aside, I hope you get battered. So you know, it'd be quite nice. But yeah, I think for me, it's more like if the men do it, that will properly like that will get my goat like 100%. Because given like how our men's have done this season as well, I know our women's team have fallen off a cliff at the same time as well as the men. Seems to be running through the club at the minute. But yeah, I think the men would probably be worse, just because like from the women's point of view, like obviously Arsenal have been at that top end for like the longest time. So yeah, I think if the men were to win the Champions League, mate, I don't know, I might have to just delete my life off of social media and just keep it strictly business. I think on that side of things, because yeah, the amount of pelters I'm going to get is going to be phenomenal. So yeah, hopefully Paris get the job done. I actually think the Arsenal women Barcelona women game will be a really good game, good watch. I think it will probably be tighter than a lot of people give credit for. I don't think there'll be too many goals in it, because it's one of those games that will be defined by the sort of finest of margins.
And talking about finest of margins, we do obviously have our European game tomorrow, Wes. And I'm not going to lie to you, I think the atmosphere will hopefully be a lot better than the shower curtain that was held up at Arsenal. But going into this one, how are you kind of feeling?
I'm feeling all right. I think I mentioned it last week, and I was listening and watching Ange and Madison's press conference today. They both didn't mention the fact we've already played them, which is strange. Madison, I can sort of half understand because he's probably injured, like the rest of the team were at the time that we played them. But yeah, obviously Ange has given them the respect that they kind of need and deserve, I guess, because they've beaten Olympiacos, who are a European team and club in structure, set up, everything else, and they've beaten Lazio, who've got decent European pedigree, over two legs as well. I'm hoping and anticipating 100% that we get the job done over both legs. Then I have to remind myself this is Tottenham and anything is possible. Having said that, we've been in situations before, and proper sticky situations before in Europe, and managed to get ourselves out of it. I think the Europa League campaign has given us a massive distraction. It's been a nice sort of respite from everything else that's gone on in the league. The big thing is like we need a win, but we need to do it convincingly. We need to win by like 3 or 4, for me, because of the conditions that we're going to be facing at Bodo Glimt. The plastic pitch, the tight pitch. Obviously, all the fans their end are going to be bang up for it. It's going to be, dare I say it, like their cup final. It's like, look, the English are here. All of that kind of stuff. It's the biggest game of their players' lives. Realistically, it's on a massive stage for them. Typically they've got a few players injured, so Dr. Tottenham will probably see you now, to be honest. But yeah, fingers crossed the boys can get over the line and get the job done.
I think we've spoken on there a few times in terms of whether Ange keeps his job, but I think that's kind of certain that it goes now regardless. But Nelson, for you, obviously looking from an outside perspective, in terms of, like Wes has said, we've got to win convincingly tomorrow, because I am, like Wes has said, very nervous being a Spurs fan that anything could go wrong in that second leg.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the first leg at home tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's why I was going to ask you guys if you guys felt as though you needed to win with a big margin, and Wes obviously just answered that. Because yeah, I think heading over to their pitch, Yeah, they're going to be buzzing for it. So I think from an outside perspective, if you guys are going to win, I think it's going to be like it's just to give the boys a boost when they head to Bodo Glimt next week. And I think that'll be a big boost for Ange as well, knowing that his final days are coming. I think a lot of people know that his final days are coming. Probably his coaching staff, the whole players, they just know, they can just feel it. So I'm hoping that the players can look upon themselves and think, okay, well, if this is Ange's final days, let's go out with a bang and give him that kind of nice send off for the fans and also for himself. So I am confident for you guys tomorrow. I actually think you will win tomorrow for the first leg. Just don't know how much by. It would be better, obviously, without conceding a goal. I think if you guys don't concede the goal, I think that is a huge boost. Because let's say you're up 4-0 and then they end up scoring one goal in the last few minutes. That in itself could change the entire tide just because of, like Wes mentioned, the pitch conditions. So, yeah, I think you guys will get the job done for the first leg. Because I do think I was surprised with Wes said about the team against Liverpool. I was thinking that was the team as well that was going to play for Thursday. So he might keep the same team, but if hopefully there's not tired legs and you guys will get the job done.
Hopefully, and that's the thing. Because obviously, Wes, I know you mentioned briefly just then about Madder's press conference, and I think there was a clip doing the rounds where they were kind of asked you doing it for the fans, and like his first reaction was kind of like he was trying to have a go at the president and say, "What? No, why are we saying it like that? That's not how we do it." And then when he actually realised what the question was, he kind of rephrased it a little bit. And it was the first time I've actually sat there and thought, "Hang on a minute, this isn't PR led. This is actually him coming out and being who he was." And I think for me that actually hit me quite well.
Yeah, but my thing is, the thing with James Maddison is this, right? I love the fact that he wants to stand up and be counted. You know, he's usually one that will front up in front of a camera, you know, when things aren't going well, which is great. But I think he also said in kind of answer to that question later on in his answer, like fans don't really care what I would say. Like, yes, we're getting beat and we're going over, we're trying to show our appreciation, but you know, at the end of the day, fans want action, and I want action from James Maddison because he's a player that I've wanted at Tottenham for a long, long time. Like we're talking like Norwich days. It was when I wanted James Maddison at Tottenham, and it's kind of like when we've got him, I was absolutely buzzing because I thought there's a Tottenham player there. Like when you think about a profile of player that should fit a certain club, James Maddison, Tottenham Hotspur should be an absolute match made in heaven. You know, it's one of them you'd swipe right for. Do you know what I mean? But unfortunately, it for me it hasn't worked out as well as we wanted to, and I want action from James Maddison on the pitch. I want him to take every game by the scruff of the neck. I want him to stamp his authority on every game. I want him to be chipping in with goals, assists. I want him to be running the game. I want him like here, there, and everywhere. He's a player that you want in between lines to get him on the ball, get him on the half turn, so he can feed, you know, the front, the attacking unit. And yeah, it's not quite transpired in that way. So yeah, I mean, it's nice to hear that he's kind of like, look, we're all in this together. We're behind Ange and the manager. We like playing for him, etc., etc. But as I said, it's all right talking the talk. You got to walk the walk now. And I think that's the biggest difference. I think for me with Madders is he talks an unbelievable game. So I think once he's finished punditry for James Maddison, yeah, I'm in. I'm sold on that one because he's a player and a guy that loves football. You can see that in the way he comes across, but he's got to start backing it up for me on the pitch a little bit more because yeah, at the moment, like for me, if I'm picking a Spurs 11 and I'm picking my best 11 for Tottenham, he doesn't get in it. And that's
No.
worrying. That's worrying because when you sign for Tottenham and you're a £40 million signing and you're having these kind of conversations, it doesn't like Tottenham historically don't fob a player off really. It's very rare, so you know it's not like we write players off. You know, I know we have done in previous years, and it's been a bit of a shock. The likes of Ndombele, for example, obviously £65 million, fobbed him off, tore up his contract. Like historically, there's probably only a couple of clubs that can do that. So yeah, when you're coming in for that level of money, I know it's not his fault, but you've got to deliver, and I think that's what I want to see from James Maddison.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think it was just the first time I've actually heard him say actually, yeah, no, I'm not doing the PR stuff. This is how I'm feeling. Which we haven't heard in a very long time. But I do get it. He needs to actually walk the walk, and hopefully tomorrow he does do that. And I have realised that obviously the other tie is tonight, Nelson. Now, God forbid you do make it through against PSG. Who would you prefer to face in that final?
None of them. Absolutely none of them. Because I think Wes would agree with me in saying that the four teams that are in the semi-finals are probably the four best teams throughout the competition. In the sense of they are actually the four best teams or as a unit, as a like in the because obviously Real Madrid had your superstars on there. But I think apart from Man City, who have just had an awful season, I think in terms of the systems that each team plays, like Inter has something. They have an identity. Barcelona have a remarkable identity. I don't know what Hansi Flick has done this season to still get the output from Robert Lewandowski at his age is ridiculous. I think Rafinha, Lewandowski, and Yamal share a ridiculous goals and assists output this season. I think the one that I'd fear the most probably be Barcelona because similar to PSG, they have got technicians in that midfield that I love to watch, and Wes obviously can go on for days about those technicians, especially a certain number 8. But I think I'd be more fearful to face Barcelona. I think there's a youthful exuberance about them. They seem so fearless. I've been very impressed with them this season. The fact that they're on for the treble speaks volumes to what Hansi Flick has done for that side. Inter are an interesting one. I think Inzaghi has done a great job for them this season. They're obviously up for the league. And I think they have their structure, especially defensively. I've noticed this season has been really good, and I think they give me that kind of same Atleti vibes in defense than Barcelona do, and I'd be very fearful as an Arsenal fan, just trying to watch this patient game. I hate it at times, when you're facing a low block, and I think if we were to face, I think Arteta will have to switch things up. But if you had to ask me which team I'd be fearful to face in that final, it would be Barcelona. Yeah, we Barcelona.
Let's just hope you don't get there because that'd be lovely. But I thought it'd be quite a nice question to ask. And before we move on to you guys' favourite part of the show that I hate with FPL, I thought I'd ask you quickly, Wes, about Bergvall that has signed till 2031. Now, don't get me wrong, Liverpool was awful, but to have that news yesterday rose my spirits a little bit.
Yeah, listen, Swedish Luka Modric. Enough said. The kid is a baller. How we got him for 8.5 million in the first place in today's market is like it's daylight robbery. You have on that side of things, you have to praise the people in charge of that doing that deal because they found an absolute gem of a player and someone who had a really rough start to his Tottenham career. There was talk of him, I think, especially after the Galatasaray away game, of like, oh, maybe he should go out on loan. The turnaround in his progress and development has been absolutely phenomenal. And like for me, now he's almost like undroppable. And it's like if Bergvall doesn't play and he's on the bench, you're literally looking to see like, right, can we get him on? Because we have to get him on the pitch. And then when he's on the pitch, it's like give him the ball, and because he has that capability of making something happen. Even when he come on against Forest a couple of weeks ago, like the 2 pings he did, I'm there like, yeah, this brother's got a bit of sauce about him. Do you know what I mean? So, and to be doing what he's doing at such a young age in the Premier League, yeah, I am absolutely buzzing. Will we build a team around him? Will we? Heck. But yeah, he just gives me that Luka Modric vibe because he's similar in his frame and his stature with Modric as well. And yeah, I think the way he can glide part and go past people is good as well. He loves a bit of a tackle as well, by the way. And I like the fact that he's willing to take that responsibility. And similar to Modric, where he is quite slight in his frame, but listen, I'll drop into that 6th position. Give me the ball with a player up the backside. I don't care. I'll work something out. I was absolutely delighted with that news when that dropped. So, yeah, we've got Lucas Bergvall for a little bit longer, and I'm absolutely gassed.
Yeah, it is a good one. I think that's the thing. I was very, very excited by having him. But it kind of moves us on to you guys' favourite part of the show, and that's being FPL. Now, we've actually got a funky little graphic this time. It's got both of your teams on the screen, which means I never have to do it again. So, I'm going to let... who wants to go first? Who wants to talk through their team?
I'll go first. I'll go first, Holly, because I just feel like, I don't know. It's been this week. Me and Wes, I think, as everyone can see, we actually took our free hit chip. We mentioned it last week. It was something that I think millions of players. I think I saw a stat. I think 2 million plus fantasy players used their free hit chip and saved it towards the back end of the season, because a lot of teams, I think Villa, Palace, Forest, City, obviously because they were all in the semi-finals. I had a lot of players from their teams because of the double game weeks leading up to this game week. So this is a team that I went for. I think the focus was for, again, the sides that have been relegated. So Newcastle versus Ipswich was definitely a top one. And as you can see, I've got some really good points from those players. Another team was Wolves, them facing Leicester. I think was kind of like a way in which people could get some really quick hit points with differentials. Ain't Nuri got me a great amount of points from defence because he also assisted Cunha's first goal. And then Mateus Cunha sitting there in my front line. Obviously, you can see Wes's one's on the bench. So it's a bit of a sticky one for him. But yeah, I think it was a great over week. And then Salah, I was hoping Salah would get more points. I was gutted he didn't get more points. I was actually hoping that the game would be more tight, so it would work out that because I think the last game was a ridiculous scoreline that he got that point. So I was hoping for the same kind of result where it was a high scoring game. And then Matoma on my bench with 6 points. He was the only one because I thought I'd take a risk in Danny Welbeck, because Danny Welbeck, I know Wes would attest, has not saved him, but has got some crucial points this season. So I thought I'd put Danny Welbeck in. And the fact that, Brighton came back, I kept checking. I was like, okay, Welbeck has scored. Then I see Matoma's come and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's come on from the bench and scored. So it was quite frustrating. But Ollie, I think it's a good week. I think it keeps me in the top 2 in most of my leagues heading into the final few weeks of the season. So I'm feeling good.
Gosh, no, you have done well, Nelson. And Wes, let's talk it through. I mean, Nelson's already put Cunha on the downside for you, so he's already explained that point. So carry on with what choices you've gone for and why.
Yeah, I'm fuming, lad. Absolutely fuming. Because, as you can see, I've put Bernd Leno in goal because they were playing Southampton, and that was the reason why I put Raul Jimenez up front. I wanted Muniz because I thought he would probably start up front, but then I saw he was doubtful, so I was like, right, well, Raul Jimenez is likely to play. He's against Southampton, so, he should score. And then I get the notifications coming through at Southampton and win, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be joking. So yeah, and obviously my back line, Huijsen and Kerkers were in for a 6-pointer each, and then flipping Rasmus Højlund decided to actually do something with his life and score. The only thing he's ever done this season. So that's killed me a little bit. And then obviously I've got Livramento on my bench as well, because I went with Trent because I thought assists against Tottenham because we're terrible at Anfield. Haven't won there since 2011, and I was last at school. That's how long ago that was. I thought I'd put Kluivert in because of, obviously, Bournemouth playing United. United are terrible. Salah obviously got me my most points. I thought Harvey Barnes would do a little bit more against Ipswich. He had a shocker. Palmer I thought I'd whack him in against Everton. He dropped a stinker. But yeah, Cunha on my bench absolutely killed me, to be fair. Because I think if I'd have put him in instead of Raul Jimenez, well, that 14-point difference that would have been there. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. I'd have been flying. I'd have been like, yeah, I'm an FPL guru, connoisseur, whatever you want to call it. And instead, I'm just gonna have to just say I play FPL instead, really. So yeah, fuming, lad, absolutely fuming.
Better than me though, because I quit FPL, so you're still doing better than me. So
you can't quit. You can't quit, Holly.
Yeah, once you're in, it's gonna rope you back in. I tell you that.
Listen, Holly. Just because you friend zone Jay on Monday, you can't then just quit FPL because you're bottom of his leagues or whatever. That's not happening.
I know. I felt so bad, man. I literally said, "Oh, and how are you, my friend?" I was like, "Oh shit, he's not my friend." But anyway. Yeah, I'm not playing FPL anymore, but this means this screen looks so much better with both your teams up.
It's
So
good.
that's one for next season. But no, you've even though Wes you ain't got many points this week, I think you've definitely picked up the FPL kind of grind, and you've done better than me because I just quit. So yeah, I think that wraps up a very very action-packed show tonight. There's a lot to go over. I don't know if my dad's lying or not, but apparently Inter are winning. He
They
has
are.
messaged me, so that'll be interesting for us to all go and have a little
Even more interesting because I think Barcelona scored the most goals in the Champions League and Inter have conceded the fewest. I think Barcelona scored 37 and Inter have only conceded 5. All Champions League campaigns. So you mentioned earlier, Nelson, that you'd hate to face Barcelona. I think if I'm an Arsenal fan, I would prefer to play Barcelona and I'd hate to play against Inter. I think that defense. It's Italian way of doing things. They build from the back and everything else. So yeah, I think Barca, they just give you that little bit extra, and I think they'll come at Arsenal. So if obviously the hate watch doesn't go well next week, then and Arsenal get to the final, I hope it's Inter because I think they'll frustrate Arsenal more than Barcelona will.
Interesting. Well, we've got all that to look forward to in the next couple of weeks, or shall I say not look forward to. But no, it will be interesting. We'll see that big game tomorrow as well for us. So we'll do our goodbyes around the table. So Nelson, thank you again for joining me tonight. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
You guys can find me on Instagram. You can find me at nnatumba25 on Instagram. So that's N, my last name Tumba, and then 25 on Instagram. Bosh.
And Wes as well. Where can everybody find you doing your thing? Far away.
Yeah. So Twitter's at Wezo10, unofficial Moussa Dembele fan account, tweeting things about the greatest Belgian to ever grace Premier League shores. Dele Alli's GOAT, Kevin De Bruyne is GOAT, Danny Rose is GOAT, Harry Winks is GOAT, just the general GOAT in general. So yeah, that's where people can find me on Twitter. Instagram's at Wezo32. So yeah, I'm usually at a Spurs game, although I'm not there tomorrow. Work commitments. I think my next game's actually the Brighton game, last game of the season, because obviously we're in Europe, so I've got other work commitments already penciled in before the games got moved. And then, as I mentioned at the top of the show, anything football coaching related is at Kofa MK or Kickoff Football Academy, Milton Keynes, across all your socials. So that is a wrap.
Boom, there we go. That wraps up another Wednesday show. It has been good fun once again. Thank you to everybody else that's been watching, that's going to be rewatching this later on. Thank you very much. And like I say, I love these shows. Make sure that you always tune into these ones on the other ones. Until next time, how are you, Spurs?
Go on, you Spurs.